We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are. This is another spontaneous, that means unplanned, live Q&A session where I answer your English questions, anything to help you sound more confident and more fluent in your English. It's a special weekend here in the US. I'm based in New York City, as you can kind of see from, I don't know if you can see the buildings and the skyline behind me, but I live in New York. Here in the US, it's a very special weekend because it's the 4th of July weekend. So Friday was July 4th. We celebrated America's birthday, America's Independence Day. So it's a nice long weekend here, but it is hot. It is sweltering. Sweltering. I'm going to write that down. Sweltering. It's a good word to know. If you want to level up your English, instead of saying something is very hot, you can say this. Sweltering. I hope you guys can read that. Sweltering. So it's been very hot and humid here this weekend, but that's summer in the city. So you guys, as you're coming into the chat, please feel free to leave your questions here. Tell me where you're from. I always like to know where you guys are signing in from. So put where you're from in the chat. And I'll start by answering some questions that came to me in the time since we last met. You guys are always welcome to send your questions to me. I absolutely love hearing from you, and I respond to each and every single comment. So never hesitate to reach out with something that you need help with. Okay, let's go to the first question that I got. I'm going to pull it up right here. This is from YouTube. You guys can send me your questions here on YouTube and on Instagram as well. The first question is from eCoreo. Which phrases will make me sound more senior and not so junior at work? This is such a great question. I'm going to make a whole video about this because I think it's worth an entire video. If you want to sound more senior in your English at work and more confident, you have to avoid weak language. What is weak language? Weak language are words and phrases that make you sound unsure of yourself. For example, I'm not sure if this is right, but instead of saying that, just say, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. That sounds much more confident, much stronger, right? And if somebody has a question, they'll ask you about it. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm going to write this down. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. Another example of weak language would be, I'll try. Instead of saying I'll try, say, let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Yep. Oh, hi, Sylvia. Okay, Sylvia is in Guatemala. Amazing. My cousin is married to someone from Guatemala, and my cousin's wife, Carla, always tells me that she's going to take me there someday. So I hope to get to Guatemala someday. Thanks for joining. All right. Another example of weak language is sometimes people will say things like, this is probably wrong, or this might be a bad idea. So already kind of saying that what you have to say isn't correct or isn't worthwhile. So instead of saying this might be wrong, or this probably sounds dumb, or might be a bad idea, just say, in my experience, I'll write that down here. In my experience. You see that there at the bottom. In my experience, already that'll make you sound more senior, more confident. Yep. All right. So eCoreo, I hope you found that helpful. Guys, don't be shy. Please put your questions in the chat. If you have any questions at all, that's what I'm here for today, to help you. In the meantime, we'll go to our next question. This is also from YouTube. I hope I'm saying that right. Call 7654 says, what are some must-know meeting phrases? That is another fantastic question. I've done a couple of videos already on good phrases to know for meetings. I'll put the links in the description when I'm done with this live session so that you guys can go back and take a look. But I'll just give you a couple words that you absolutely have to know, words that you will hear in meetings. These are phrases and words that we use every single day. Here's one. It's a phrasal verb. You have to know this, you guys, because you're going to hear it. I'll write it down. Phrasal verb, which I know can be tricky. Walk through. To walk through something. Does anybody know what this phrasal verb means? If so, put it in the chat. To walk through something. What do you think it means? We're not literally talking about walking here. Nobody has a guess? Don't be shy, you guys. It's okay if you get the answer wrong. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. All right, I'll tell you then. To walk someone through something is to explain something. It's to explain something in detail. So in a meeting, you might hear, for example, someone say, Sylvia, can you walk us through your plan? Or, all right, now Sylvia is going to walk us through her plan. That means she's going to explain her plan in detail so that we understand. Yeah, you're going to hear that all the time. Another phrase you are guaranteed to hear in meetings is to take something offline. Let's take this offline. That's a sentence that we use all the time. Does anybody know what that means? Let's take this offline. Let's take this offline. Let's take this offline. What do you think it means? This is kind of a funny one. And we use this sometimes in awkward situations. It essentially means stop talking about this right now and let's change the subject. So to take this offline means let's discuss this outside of this meeting. Let's discuss it later, outside of this group, outside of this meeting. Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any questions about meeting phrases? Anyone at all? I'll give you one more phrase before we move on to the next question that I got. And get back on track. Another key phrase you're guaranteed to hear in a meeting, to get back on track. Now, we use this phrase, we'll say, for example, let's get back on track. I'll add that let's in there. Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. So we say this when the discussion has gone off course. When the discussion has gone off course, we've gotten away from the topic at hand, and we're talking about something else that's not really relevant, and we need to come back to the topic at hand. We have to come back to something relevant to the meeting. So to get something back on track, let's get back on track. Okay, all right. For those of you who are just joining, welcome. Please put your questions in the chat. Don't be shy. In the meantime, let's go to another question that I got. This one is about me. This is about my, hello, you are so welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. This question is about me, which I think is kind of funny. This one came in from Instagram from Tolich, CSD. Are you in a relationship or are you single? All right. Hey, fair enough. Let's get to know each other a little bit then. I am very happily married. Yeah, and my husband and I actually are relatively new parents. We have a son and we're raising him in New York City. We're raising him to be bilingual. My husband is a native Spanish speaker, which is really fun because I'm working on my Spanish. So I practice my Spanish with him all the time. And he speaks only in Spanish to my son. And of course, I speak only in English to our son. So yeah, it's really fun. I'm very happy with my little family here in New York. So thanks for the question. All right, let's go to another question. This one is also from YouTube. This comes from Jessica V9S3G. How can we read English articles well? Well, reading in English is just like any other skill. The more you do it, the better you will become. So I recommend that you guys read something in English every single day. Even if it's just for a couple of minutes, it's better than nothing. And when you come to a word that you don't know, try to figure out the meaning before you go look it up in the dictionary. Try to figure out the context. Just challenge yourself. That'll keep your brain muscles working. And then when it comes time to look up that definition or look up that word in the dictionary, I want you to write the word down, write it down, say it out loud. That's how we internalize vocabulary. You can write the definition down as well, but then I want you to create 3 example sentences with that word and say those sentences out loud, speak them out loud. The more you can produce English, the more you can produce the language and the words, the more fluent and confident you'll feel as you're speaking English. So read out loud as much as you can as well. So I hope that helps. Hello, Mari from Japan. It's so nice to meet you. So glad to have you here. Where are you live here? Where do you live? So we say, where do you live? Great job. This is how we all learn. Where do you live? I live in New York City. So I live in the United States and I'm here in New York. Yeah. If anybody's ever been to New York, write yes in the comments or write yes in the chat. This is my favorite city in the world. I've lived in many countries, many cities, and New York is my favorite. So really happy to be here. Yeah, I'd hope to get to Japan one day too. There's a direct flight New York, Tokyo, of course. I'm sure there's many direct flights from New York to many places in Japan. So I'll be there soon. I'll be there someday. All right, guys. Okay, Mari, thank you for your comment. Everybody else, keep putting your questions in the chat. Another question, this is from YouTube. I'm one of your avid followers, fabulous, and I really appreciate your content. Thank you, I'm so happy to hear that. I have a question. What do you think is the best AI tool available right now for practicing English speaking skills? Yes, without a doubt, but first I have to say, this company has sponsored some of my videos in the past. So to sponsor someone means to give them money. Sponsor, here, let's put that, this is a good word, because this is also a very good business phrase that you guys should know. To sponsor. That means to give someone money for a purpose. The purpose varies depending on the situation, but you sponsor someone, you give them money for a reason. They're going to go and do something with that. So this company has sponsored my videos. They've given me money to talk about them. And the reason why they have sponsored me is because I believe so much in their products. They have fantastic products. It is Elsa AI. I'll write that down. Elsa AI. However, they are not sponsoring this video. So this is free publicity I'm giving them, but I want to make sure you guys know about the best English speaking tools out there. So I think it's this one. I've tried it myself. It's like a chat bot. It's a chat bot that you can practice your English with just on your phone, on your mobile. And like I said, I've tried it, and the English that the tool uses is real world business English. You can practice it for meetings, presentations. So my recommendation is that you check it out. Okay, Mari is also saying, oh, Tokyo is so humid. Very good. Tokyo is so humid. Yeah, yep. I can relate, Mari. It's really humid here in New York too. Yeah. And Baiju says, is this paid or free? You know what? That's a great question. It's been a while, Bari, since I've looked at, or Baiju, sorry. Baiju, it's been a while since I've looked at the tool, and it's changing all the time. They might have a free version. Go ahead and check it out, though. Or maybe they have a free trial now. I'm not sure, but it's worth looking into. Again, Elsa AI, you are welcome for the free publicity because, again, this video is not paid. This is just my honest opinion because I want you guys to have the best tools and the best products available. All right. Another question is coming in. I was wondering if there was another verb or expression for courting a woman. Okay, which would be quite old fashioned, as in when you first start dating. Love that question. And you're bravo to you because you know the verb to court. That's a very advanced verb in English. So, since you know that, you must speak a very high level of English. And you're absolutely right. That word is old fashioned. We don't really use it anymore. We would really just say dating. Dating. That's really in the US, that's what we would say most often. So, you could say, for example, like, I'm dating, and then the person's name, like, oh, I'm dating Sarah, or I'm dating Marina, or whatever the person's name is. Or, you could say, if you're talking about the other person, you and the other person, if you're telling somebody, you'd say, oh, we're dating. We're dating. That means we're together. We're dating. Yeah. Hope that answers your question. Next question here, Zami Arif. Hi, English has many tenses. Could you share with us the common tenses that are usually used in business English? Ooh, fantastic question. But I don't think you're going to like this answer, because the truth is we use all of the tenses in business English. Yeah, I wish I could make it easier, but that is the honest truth. We use the present, we use the past, we use the progressive. I am working on this project right now. We also use the conditional, the past conditional, quite a bit, which is because a lot of times in business, we need to review the past, right? We need to look at what worked well, what didn't work well. So a lot of times we would say, if we had launched the campaign sooner, we would have seen better results. So we use that past conditional all the time too. So it's worth your while to brush up on all of the tenses when it comes to business English. Yeah, great question. Okay, this is excellent. You guys are asking some great questions here. Okay, Baiju says, I'm now using ChatGPT. Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT can certainly be helpful for sure. That could definitely be something that you want to continue doing. I think that Elsa, in my experience, and I've used both tools, I think Elsa's language is a little more real world. Sometimes ChatGPT, I've seen it be a little too generic. But I think, especially if Elsa doesn't have a free version, definitely keep using ChatGPT. I think that's a great solution in any event. Either way, it's a great solution. Yeah, so keep doing that. All right, guys. Aha, Chris is saying Elsa is awesome. Yeah, so you agree, Chris, huh? Yeah, I think it's a fantastic tool. Otherwise, I wouldn't have offered or agreed to sponsor their videos, and I wouldn't be talking about them right now. Yep. All right, guys, keep the questions in the comments coming. Tell me where in the world you are. I love hearing this. Oh, there's a second part to this person's question here. They're saying, I hope you can include a segment in one of your upcoming videos on how to answer tough job interview questions. Yes, because I don't think there's anything harder than doing a job interview in English. Presentations are pretty hard too, because there's a lot of pressure, right? But even a job interview, even if English is your first language or your native language, it's still really difficult, right? If any of you have done a job interview in English, put yes in the chat. I love to hear. But I have done a video already on how to answer some of the toughest but most common job interview questions in English. So you guys are more than welcome to check that out. I'll put a link in the description to that video too. And I can always do more videos on that subject if that's something that you guys are interested in. I want to create content that you guys need and use. So always give me feedback on what video topics might be helpful. Wow, Chris has done a job interview fully in English. I am so impressed. I'm so impressed. That means your English must be top. That's great. Hats off to you. Okay, guys, I'm going to keep going to some of the questions. Now, these mostly came in on Instagram. Okay, speaking of presentations, this person is asking, what are the phrases commonly used in the beginning, middle, and end of presentations? Yep. Another video. I should make a video solely on that. You guys are always giving me great ideas. So for the beginning of presentations, here's what I can suggest. First, how about this one? Today, I'm going to show you. Today, I'm going to show you. Today, I'm going to show you. I love this sentence in a presentation because it really gets the audience involved. It engages your audience. You're telling them, this is what is in it for you today. This is why you need to take time to listen to me. This is the value you're going to get from this presentation. Today, I'm going to show you. And it piques their interest, right? It gets them curious about what you have to say. Today, I'm going to show you. Another one, this is the one that I use all the time. This is very American style. By the end of my presentation, you will, hope you guys can read my handwriting. By the end of my presentation, you will, and then you finish the sentence with the value that you're going to deliver. This immediately helps them understand why they need to listen to you, why they should take time out of their busy day to go to your presentation, to listen to what you have to say, because there's value in it for them. So you could say, by the end of my presentation, you will have a better understanding of something, or you will have 3 new ways to achieve blah, blah, blah. So those are some good phrases for the beginning of a presentation. For the middle of the presentation, we usually need to transition. So very simply, when you need to transition in the middle, you could say something like, moving on to, and then say what the topic is, the next subject is. Now moving on to our plans for Q3, or now moving on to whatever that is. Moving on to. And then for the end of your presentation, you could just say something like, you want to signal to the group that your presentation is ending. This now brings us to the end of my presentation. This now brings us to the end. This now brings us to the end of my presentation. This now brings us to the end of my presentation. And one more thing you can say at the end is you can ask the audience for questions, because that's often something that you want to do when you're presenting, right? You want to see if the audience has any questions. So you can say, I'm now happy to take questions. I'm now happy to take questions, or I'm now happy to take your questions. Good. So I hope you guys found that helpful. Okay. Yeah, Chris is giving us a little more detail about his job interview in English. He's saying, my interview was about software development, AI, and machine learning. By the way, I can speak 4 languages. Whoa, okay. Chris, you continue to impress us. That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. That's great. Okay, Baiju, you have some more suggestions for presentation phrases. Now moving on to the next session. Now, a question or a comment, a comment. If you say now moving on to the next session, that means moving on to the next person's presentation. So you wouldn't want to say session. You might mean section, which is a part of your presentation. Section, maybe that's what you mean. In that case, that could work. I think, though, my honest opinion is that the word topic might be better. So now moving on to the next topic. I think that sounds best. Yeah. But good. Thanks for your input there. We all learn together as a group, you guys. That's why I love these open Q&A sessions so much, because we all learn from each other's questions, from each other's input, and from each other's mistakes too. So I always say there's really no such thing as a bad mistake in English, because you learn and you improve from every mistake. So never be afraid to make mistakes. This is a safe place. Okay. Let's go on to another question that we have on Instagram. This one is about me. Foodie_broski asks me, are you an English teacher? You know, I'm so glad that this person asked that question, because it gives me an opportunity to share with you guys a little bit more about myself. I am an English teacher now, of course, but my background is actually in business. I've always worked in marketing. I spent almost 20 years working in marketing in the corporate world, so to speak. I always worked for software companies, so I always marketed software. So I've always worked in the technology industry, in the tech industry, as we say for short, in short. I've worked in five different countries: Munich, Germany, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, London in the UK, Geneva, Switzerland, my hometown of Cincinnati in the US. I've lived in New York and worked here in New York as well. So I've seen how English is the global language of business. And I always would help my coworkers improve their business English as we were working together. And I knew that I wanted to do it full time one day, and I wanted it to be my job. So here I am today doing what I love, and I could not be happier. So in short, are you an English teacher? I am now, but I wasn't always. I've always been a marketer, always in marketing. Yeah. So thanks for the question. All right, guys, what else do you have for me? Another question here on Instagram. This is from Rajiv Rex 1294. He asks, how do we keep our speech flowing constantly by avoiding fillers? Does anybody know what a filler is? I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Yes, I drink my coffee with a straw. I know it's kind of weird, but it's what I do. What can I say? Anybody know what fillers are? Filler words. Hello, Ali from Istanbul. Welcome, welcome. Great to see you. A filler is a word, or it could just be a sound in English that we use. They don't have any meaning. Fillers don't have any meaning. They're more things that we just do out of habit, and a lot of times without realizing it. I am guilty of this myself. I use fillers a lot too. It's something I'm trying to work on and trying to improve myself. Fillers are, for example, or like. The Americans always say like sometimes after every single word. So like I was walking down the street and it started to rain. That's a filler. It doesn't have any meaning, but it detracts from what you want to say. It detracts from the meaning. So to improve here and try to reduce fillers, first of all, a couple tips. My first tip is to be mindful of your speech. Be mindful and pay attention and be conscious of what you're saying. Step two, when you feel like you need to use a filler, when you feel the urge to say like, or, or just pause. Instead of saying that filler word or filler sound, just pause and be silent, and then move on to what you want to say. And step three, a good way to become conscious of this, because a lot of times we use these filler words without even knowing it, is record yourself. Either just use your phone, make a video, or do an audio recording, and you'll be able to identify your weak spots. You'll be able to identify and probably learn new things about how you speak, when you use filler words. So those three things I think will help you to reduce fillers. Again, it's something I need to work on myself. It's not easy. Okay. Yes, exactly. You know is a filler. Absolutely. Yep. That's a very common filler. I use that one all the time too. Oh no, Baiju is saying no. What do you mean? No what? I don't think you liked my answer, maybe. All right, guys. What other questions are here? This is a good one. And I think this is probably the last one that I got. So if you guys don't, I'll answer this one and then please just continue putting any other questions you have in the chat and I'll get to those after this. This is also from Instagram from Just Hable. Do you American guys expect from foreigners a good level of English regarding business? The short answer is if you are working in a company where English is used, or if your job, if you're working for in some kind of global context where you have to use English, the answer is yes. You will be expected to speak English well, and you will be expected to speak proficiently. You'll be expected to have a proficiency in English. Yes. However, that does not mean perfection. Nobody would expect a non-native English speaker to speak perfect English without any kind of grammar mistakes. You don't have to pronounce the words perfectly. It is totally okay to speak in your beautiful accent that you have. I'll tell you this, when I was in Amsterdam, the language Dutch is the language spoken in Amsterdam. So I lived there and worked there for 5 years. My boss was Dutch. I was working for a Dutch company. Everybody spoke Dutch, but the official language was English. I wanted to learn Dutch because I love languages. So I was learning Dutch. I asked my boss, I said, can we speak Dutch in our meetings more so that I can improve? And my boss then told me, sure, Maria, we can do that, but you can't be slowing things down with your Dutch. You can't be slowing things down. And that's the same advice I would give to you guys. Your English has to be at a level where you're not slowing down the conversation. You're not slowing down business. If you don't understand something that somebody says, it's okay to ask for clarification. It's totally fine to say, I didn't understand that word or I didn't understand that phrase. But you can only do that a little bit of the time. Most of the time, you need to be able to understand what people are saying and speak in a way where you're not slowing things down. So that's my answer to that. I hope you guys found it helpful. Yeah, Omar is saying fluency is key at that point. Yeah, I would agree. You do need a level of fluency if you're going to work and get a job in an English speaking environment. That's correct, I would say, in my opinion. Yes. Oh, hello. I'm in Japan. Would you please advise me how I should improve speaking skills? Oh, fabulous. My favorite way to improve speaking skills, of course, speaking with native speakers, obviously, that's the best way. We all know that. But maybe a thing that you haven't thought of is reading out loud. You guys, that is so powerful in improving speaking skills, is to read out loud. And that doesn't take any other person. You can do it by yourself. So take something that you enjoy, a news article, a book, something you're interested in, something that you like in English, and read the words out loud. You can also record yourself and listen, and that'll give you some good feedback on how you sound. But when you read out loud, you're getting practice producing the language, which is so important. Producing the language like that removes hesitation. It removes hesitation and just makes you more confident and more comfortable when you're saying those words. Your mouth gets used to making the sounds, speaking the words. So that's my number one tip, just read out loud. And of course, whenever you can, practice speaking English with other people. So maybe that could be a coworker. You can also find very affordable options online to find tutors, English tutors as well. So you have one-on-one practice, if that's something. The other thing, I do this in Spanish. It's called the shadowing technique. Find a YouTuber or a video or somebody speaking in English, a video of someone speaking in English. Let it play for just a few seconds and hit pause and repeat what they say exactly as they say it. So think about the melody that they're speaking in. English has a very distinct melody. Pay attention to their pronunciation. Pronounce the words as they're pronouncing the words. It's called shadowing. Shadowing. It's a common technique used in language learning in general, not just in English. Has anybody ever tried it? Write yes in the chat. The shadowing technique. So I hope those 3 things will help you improve your speaking. Shadowing technique. Okay, guys. Well, I think I have gotten through all of the questions that were sent to me. You are so welcome. If you have any other questions, please just put them in the chat right now. It also helps to learn driving. Oh, okay. Wow. I guess so. I guess so. You'll have to explain how that helps with driving, but I'll take your word for it. Any other questions that you guys have? Well, you guys don't have to be strangers. That's an expression that we have in English. Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger. That means let's stay in touch. Let's stay connected to each other. If you guys have any questions at any time, don't hesitate to get in touch. You can email me at maria@english2excel.net. You can always leave a comment below, below my videos. I read and respond to every single comment. So ask your questions there. I hope to be doing these YouTube lives much more often as my schedule allows. So hopefully we'll be together very soon. Chris is saying, can you please suggest a YouTube channel for learning Spanish? I want to start my 5th language. Okay, great. Yes, there is somebody. Her name is Maria Español. Maria Español. She is one of my favorites. She's amazing. Another one is Lingua Tua. So if anybody wants to learn Spanish, I hope you guys find these helpful. Lingua Tua. Lingua Tua. And the first one is Maria Español. Maria Español. These are the 2 that I probably, I'm watching these 2 channels the most these days. Yeah. My son is 2 years old. He's studying English every Saturday. He says, hello, Apple, so cute. Oh, I love that. My son is 2 years old too. Well, he'll be 2 years old very soon. So it sounds like we have sons the same age. And bravo to you for encouraging him to learn English. And sounds like he's already is off to such a great start. He can say hello and Apple, 2 very important words. So that's amazing for him. That must be so exciting to watch. That's great. Okay, you guys, that brings us to the end of our session. This has been a blast. I've had a blast. That means I've had so much fun. I really enjoyed myself. That's a very informal expression now, to have a blast. So this has been a great time, you guys. I hope we can all do this again very, very soon. In the meantime, don't hesitate to email me or just leave a comment on any of my videos and we'll stay in touch that way. Okay, guys, hope you have a great rest of your day and evenings, and we'll talk very soon. Thanks for joining. Bye.